Hello and welcome again. What is free will and what is determinism? And has God given us free will? Free will, first of all, is the ability to have acted differently, to be free in terms of choosing your decisions and deciding whatever you want, and the ability to choose between a wide variety of choices. On the other hand, determinism implies that we cannot choose freely, and every decision we have and every choice we make is actually based on past events that led me to do such as that it could not be otherwise, because the past events that I couldn't control led me to choose so. Therefore, I cannot make a free decision upon something which is already controlled, that I have no hand in. Free will has a major importance in religion, because based on that, God can judge people according to their deeds, according to their free deeds. Judge them, reward them, or punish them. But how can I be judged if I didn't choose to exist? Well, this is definitely another topic. You can go watch my other video about it. Okay, God being all-knowing, most believers would just argue that God knows the future because He is supernatural and outside of space and time. Therefore, He knows the past, He knows the future, He knows everything. If God is the creator and He is the one responsible for creating the world, He has unleashed a set of cause and effect leading us here. So whatever happens now is due to the first cause, God, the uncaused cause. If the world was created according to His wish and as He wanted, me and you would be doing this now. Well, me doing this now, recording the video, and you then or now watching my video. If the world was created with different settings, me and you would be not doing this now. Maybe we wouldn't even exist. Maybe they who exist may look very much differently. Presuming that there must be somebody who can perceive them. So it's just pure logic. We change the cause, we change the effect. So according to this determinism and according to God, I have actually two hypotheses. God, being omniscient, all-knowing, knows the future, and God doesn't know the future. Okay, God alone, He decides to create the world in a specific settings. The effects of His cause unfold before Him in the infinite future, yet He carries on creating it using this model specifically, with this specific settings. Now, of course, He could choose another model, and of course, changing or modifying the cause or the model would definitely lead us to another effects. Changing the cause automatically changes the effect. So what we have here, every time God decides to create something in specific settings and stuffs, the effects of His action unfold before His eyes, presumably before His eyes. So if He wanted to carry on using those effects, using this cause, the effect shall happen. Alright? If He wanted some other type of effects, He could definitely just change the model. But He stick to this type of model, which led to this type of effects, what we're having right now, me and you, here and now. Based on that, can we conclude that God doesn't actually know the future, but actually controls it? It just slips from our understanding, because God, being able to reform and modify the cause to be able to get some new or some specific or special effects, this actually makes Him able to control the future. By controlling the cause, you control the future. And God, being able to see the future that will manifest itself because of the first cause that He makes, this actually makes Him able to modify the cause or change it, or make another cause completely. So God being able to see the future, this makes Him able to control the future too. Some might say that, but God is the cause. Yes, it is. It's a long line of cause and effect, in which the cause becomes the effect, and the effect becomes the cause. But the effect we're addressing is what we are doing now. Actions and decisions in respect to the first cause of the world being created in a certain way. The cause becomes the effect and the effect becomes the cause, except for God, because He is eternal and has free will. He is the uncaused cause. Then I think you would say God is a cause itself that has its own properties that can only result in one specific effect. As we have seen, a changed cause leads us to a changed effect. But can't you see that you are treating God like a robot with a set of instructions and commands that He cannot behave outside of those commands? This is definitely not God, because if there is a God, He needs necessarily to be eternal and free. Therefore, God, being able to make a cause, a world with specific settings, He is also able to make effects with specific settings also. So from this we conclude, if God knows the future, He controls it. If He controls it, how can we control the controlled? We have no free will. At the end of the day, how could you have behaved differently if God already knows what are you gonna do? If I did, this would contradict God's knowledge, which is impossible because God's knowledge is absolute. Okay, right now let's go to the second hypothesis. God doesn't know the future. And this would make a lot of sense in terms of answering questions like, why is there evil? Why God created disbelievers only to torture them? But even if this makes sense of these questions, those questions actually still pose a problem for His other attributes, goodness and omnipotence. Even if God doesn't know what would happen because of His action, He sees pain and evil, being good and omnipotent, He would be able to intervene. Him being good and almighty, He would be able to intervene as soon as natural selection starts. Don't want to accept natural selection? He would be able to intervene as soon as the serpent starts tempting Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or when the world is being bad. So He doesn't necessarily have the need to flood the whole earth, but His need above God. How anthropomorphic. I think if you want to guard the attributes of God, we must not say that He had the necessity of flooding the earth, because if God has a necessity, then this necessity is even above God. Therefore, God is no longer a God. Then we must say He wanted to flood the earth. But if we said that He wanted to flood the earth, we encounter another problem. Because we can say that God wanted to flood the earth. If He wanted, He could definitely not want to. Because want has an opposite, not want. But God chose to want. And if He wanted to flood the earth, He could definitely choose not to flood it. But still He did it, killing all of those people. He could have chosen not to hurt those people, but still He did, based on His choice. Then if He wanted to flood the earth, this actually makes Him evil, causing pain for all of those people, even for the sake of better people that shall come after. So we have a big problem right here. If God needed to flood the earth, necessity is above God, which is impossible. 2. If God wanted to flood the earth, we have the problem of evil, which is impossible again because God is good by definition. Philosophy just loves problems. Just loves problems. Let's get back to determinism and free will. So, if God doesn't know the future, am I free? Of course not. Because even if God doesn't know the future, the cause is still special and distinct, and would only allow a special and distinct effect to happen. If we want different effect, we would need to change the cause, which is impossible because we cannot get back in time. And even if we could get back in time, me getting back in time and changing the cause, it would not lead to the particular effect that made me and gave me the decision to want to get back in time and change the cause. Therefore, if I change the cause, I will also change the me who decided to get back in the future. So it's very problematic. Let's just put God away. We have a first cause, which is the Big Bang. Our limited understanding and knowledge, because we cannot simply go before the Big Bang because of the absence of space and time. Then, not even then, I cannot even say it, but you know what I mean. The Big Bang is distinct and special and can only lead to this type of distinct and special effects. The Big Bang has some settings which can only lead to particular effects that have distinct and special settings. Then after the Big Bang, the cause becomes the effect, and the effect becomes the cause all the way until now. Some of you might say, gotcha! Then the Big Bang is actually an effect that needs a cause, and this cause is God. But man, relax. We could do the same thing with God. You can also say that God is a cause, but in the line of cause and effect changes to be cause. God is also an effect. Even if he is a cause, he changes in the line of causality to be an effect. But an effect of what? If you interject, no, God is not an effect. God is eternal. I could say the same thing. I could say the same thing about the universe. The universe is eternal. Therefore, that argument doesn't really work. Anyway, put that aside. What do we conclude from this? We conclude from this that we cannot be free in either of those cases. In either of God knowing the future, and we cannot be free in God not knowing the future, and we cannot be free either in the absence of God. We cannot be free. If God knows the future, God then shapes the first cause in order to shape the effect. Therefore, God knows the future. And since God shapes the cause, he also shapes the effect. And I am the effect, basically, and I cannot do otherwise. I am not free. Secondly, God doesn't know the future. If God doesn't know the future, the first cause, which is the world being made in particular settings, has some distinct features that can only allow effects of distinct features. Again, we cannot be free. Thirdly, at the absence of God, first cause is distinct and special and has its own features, which can only lead to particular effects in which we cannot behave differently because the first cause cannot be changed. There is no free will. I hope you enjoyed the video. I would love to see your perspective about this, and even if there is some counter argument to what I have said, please feel free to show me what you got. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next one.